It is hard to believe, but we are already halfway through the year, over halfway through the year, so I figured today I'd talk about some of the best games I've played so far in 2024. Let's get started. So far this year, I've really hit my backlog pretty hard, and I've also knocked out a lot of great indie titles that I want to share with you, so let's get started with those. First, I want to talk about Bramble the Mountain King. This is a very unique game, and one of my favorite indie titles I've played this year. It's got this very whimsical fairy tale setting where you're almost playing out a classic fairy tale novel, but this is a dark story with kind of unique gameplay and just incredible environments to discover and learn more about, and everything about this game was just very intriguing to me. It's a shorter title, which is also great because I kind of consider games like this like a palate cleanser, but there are sections of this game that will challenge you and make you think a little bit and scare the shit out of you. There are some extremely dark themes throughout this game, so I will warn you on that. And also just some creepy characters you come across and some kind of unique boss battles. So if you haven't checked out Bramble the Mountain King, I highly suggest it. Next up we have As Dusk Falls. This is a recent title I beat, and I must say, the story in this game is why you're playing it. You become invested in the story almost immediately. You get to know basically two different families that are kind of crossing paths in one story, and I'm not going to say much past that because I really want you to discover some of these things for yourself with this game. The decisions you make throughout the game kind of dictate how it's going to play out and the narrative you'll receive and the ending you receive. I thought it was spectacular. It has a very unique art style as well. Very unique looking, great story, easy to play. If you like games that are almost like playing out a movie, kind of like the Telltale or Walking Dead series, The Wolf Among Us, any of those titles, I think you'll really enjoy As Dusk Falls. Far Lone Cells is another indie title I stumbled across with a YouTube video, because I think they were talking about the newer game. This is the first title in the series. And I really fell in love with the mechanics of the game. Basically, you're operating this, it almost looks like the big ships from transporter ships from Star Wars, with like the guys that buy R2-D2 and stuff like that. And anyways, you're basically operating this almost like tank-like vehicle, and you have to stock up on different fuel types. You have to keep enough steam going for momentum to get over different obstacles. You have to solve different puzzles along the way. really unique, and I haven't really played a lot of games like this. It's on the shorter side, which I find appealing. I knocked out a lot of these like 2 to 3 hour indie games this year, and they're just really enjoyable when you're not wanting to sit down and dedicate so much time and energy to one game. These games are perfect. So check out the Far series. It's really awesome. I have it for the Nintendo Switch. I think it's on most platforms, but you will fall in love with this gameplay. Not much in the story department, but it is a beautiful, stunning atmosphere and just so engaging, so relaxing, and just fun to play. So check it out. Far Lone Sails. Last but certainly not least, because none of these are really in order, and I don't want to give too much away because I'm also doing the end of the year ranking on every game I beat throughout 2024. But lastly, we have What Remains of Edith Finch.
Sam spent his life shooting photos, but Mom said he got nervous being in front of the camera. I guess we're all afraid of something.
This game is another narrative-based game, light puzzle solving with a lot of interactive games you play throughout your journey. That was one of the most compelling things about the game. It offered so many different play styles with the games, like these mini games throughout the journey of Edith Finch. Basically, you're navigating through this house, you're unlocking different doors, you're finding secret pathways, you're learning about your family, why you are the last remaining Finch.
For Lewis's funeral, my mom told me to start packing. She waited until the day before we left to tell Edie. I'm not sure if she wanted to make it easier or harder.
And through this discovery, you play these little mini games and you learn basically about the life of that character. So you go into their room, you kind of see how they were living. The house has remained as it is since these people have passed, basically. It's also based out of Washington, where I live, on Orcas Island, which is where I got married. So it's kind of a unique setting, and a setting that is very close to my heart, and a place that I love a lot and I have a lot of history with. So this game really touched me. The story hit harder than I was expecting. One of the best stories I've heard in a game this year, and that says a lot because I've played some great titles, great gameplay, great atmosphere. Those three elements, if you crush it with me, I will like your game, more than likely. That's going to be a common theme on this list, but that's kind of rounding it out for our indie games. If you haven't played it yet, I highly recommend checking out What Remains of Edith Finch.
The house had to get a little bigger, but Edie was used to that. And for a while, things were good. Almost normal.
Now, I'm not going to go over every game I've played so far this year. These are just some of the best games I've played without giving away too much from my rankings, like I previously said. So now we're going to kind of jump into some of the backlog games. These are games that I've been wanting to knock off the backlog for some time, and all of them are great titles. So starting in no particular order, we're going to start with the game that's playing right behind me, and that's Resident Evil Director's Cut. Now, I grew up playing Resident Evil games. This one, not so much. I played Resident Evil 2 a lot when I was a kid, and 3 as well. Now, that being said, I did dabble a little bit with Resident Evil 1, but it was one of those games I never finished, even as an adult. I've started up so many different games, but never saw it through. And this year I was like, you know what, I'm a huge fan of the series. It's kind of a a slap in the face to other Resident Evil fans that I haven't beat the first game in the series. Like, how can I call myself a true fan if I haven't beaten the first game in the series? And I'm not talking about the remake, I'm talking about the original. I want to play the original and see it all the way through, so I did that, and I honestly enjoyed almost every moment of it. It still holds up decently well. It's still got all that cheese that I love about the series. Iconic characters, iconic boss fights, and simply just one of the best atmospheres ever created with the Spencer Mansion. For me, Resident Evil 1 Director's Cut was spectacular to play this year. Really enjoyed it. Next is another game that I just finished, and that is Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. I was going to do my own video for Uncharted 4, but I kind of just decided to include it in this. I am a newer Uncharted fan. I've become a fan of the series over the last few years. I started from the first game and then so on, and I have finished all of them. And I was really impressed with Uncharted 4. There's not a lot of game series that the fourth game is the best game. I mean, outside of maybe like Resident Evil and a few other handful of titles. But usually, you know, the strongest titles are going to be the first one or the second one of those earlier ones. But those are great titles too. I love the first Uncharted. The second Uncharted is incredible. Third one, I'm like, it's okay. It's fine. But Uncharted 4 was incredible. You have all these characters that we love and adore returning with Sully. I just thought the journey with Sam, you know, Nate's brother, was a very impactful story. It kind of caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting that. So it brought a lot of drama. It added a lot of depth to this Uncharted game compared to the older games. And one of those biggest reasons why is because we got to dive into Nate's background. You know, kind of some of his family life growing up, which I thought was really cool. And I enjoyed it a lot. So Uncharted was just an action-packed banger. And I'm glad that I finally got to play it. It's probably in my top 5 games I've played all year. If you haven't checked it out, highly recommend it. Playing the early games in the series would definitely help before you play this one. I think you could still have fun with it, even if you haven't played those earlier games, but just to have the context and the background of some of these characters, I recommend playing at least, you know, first and second game. So, Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. This next game needs no introduction, but we have to do it anyways, and that is Red Dead Redemption 2.
Easy, John.
We've come for the boy. You must have known we would.
Shouldn't have messed with our business now, should you?
Yes, that is true. I did not play this game until this year. No idea why, just never jumped into it. I knew it was an extremely long game, so that's probably half of the reason why. But damn, is it good. The story is just so rich and compelling and heartbreaking and dramatic and sad and happy and fun, and you experience every type of emotion playing this game through Arthur Morgan's eyes. And the realism of this world, this landscape, the amount of the things you can do in this game are just incredible. I mean, it's endless. There's so many different possibilities, so many things to interact with and to do, and the setting itself is just spectacular. I love the New Orleans environment. Pretty spot on to just the culture down there. And honestly, it is one of the greatest games of all time. I'll put it up there. It's not my favorite game of all time, but damn, it is up there. And if you haven't played it like me, just do it. Stop wasting time. Play it at any means necessary. You won't disappoint. I mean, you won't regret it. It is that good. Red Dead Redemption 2. Okay, this next game, never been a fan of the TV series, but I've heard all the praise of this particular game, and that is the Walking Dead Telltale series. This is season 1.
Look, I don't know what happened, but I'll look after you until then.
The story of Clementine and Lee is gripping and will have you invested from the beginning. The decisions you make in this game are real, and the consequences always catch up to you. The outcomes you create, the story you create is spectacular. The characters you come across are memorable, and the gameplay is involved enough to keep you engaged and wanting to press on, seeing what happens next. A lot of people don't like these narrative-based, story-driven walking simulator type games, but they're a palate cleanser for me. For example, a game I'm talking about in a little bit, how I'm going to end this video with, is a somewhat challenging long game. So after I finish games like that, I like to jump into a game like a Telltale game, The Wolf Among Us, you know, any of those type of games, Until Dawn. They are very refreshing, relaxing to me, because you basically get to play a movie or be part of a movie you get to choose the outcome with. And I think those are fun and refreshing sometimes. So check out the Telltale series from The Walking Dead. It's really good. You don't have to know anything about the show. I didn't know anything about the show. You can get the definitive complete edition for PlayStation 4 for like $20, $15. That's the one I ended up buying. I came across this one at Goodwill, and I played the original, but I've got the first 4 games for PS4, and I plan on playing Season 2 here soon. So, Telltale Walking Dead, great series.
Here it is, St. John Family Dairy. Y'all can see how he kept this place so safe.
The fence keeps them out?
You betcha. They fry like bugs in a zapper. We're pushing 4,000 volts through that thing with generators and amps.
Oh, wow. You guys must know a thing or two about running wire.
Had a guy who did, yeah.
Alright, we got one more game off the backlog to talk about, and then I'll end the video with a couple games I've been playing. So, the next game on the list is going to be Mafia 2.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Eddie.
Here I am.
How's it going?
Not too bad, not too bad. Oh, this your buddy?
Yeah, this is my pal Vito. Vito, this here is a good friend of mine, Eddie Scarpa.
Nice to meet you, Eddie.
Same here, Vito. Okay, fellas, I'm dying for a drink. Let's go.
I played the original Mafia way back in the day, replayed the definitive edition I think last year, and I've been wanting to jump into Mafia 2 for the longest time, and finally did it this year. Love the story, love the characters. I think it's really cool seeing the generation that this game was set in. I believe, what is it, the 50s maybe? I don't know, but it's cool how the time changes throughout the game. Minor spoiler, you know, the main character goes for jail a little bit and then comes out years later, and the city has changed. You know, the music's different, the clothes are slightly different, the cars are different. I think that's a really nice added touch. The gameplay is always incredible and somewhat challenging, like most Mafia games. There's intertwining little seams from other Mafia stories that intertwine and come together in this game with the events that play out. So I like those. I like how things connect like that. That's always been an intriguing part of this series for me. And it just really hits all the notes of a great Mafia game. Mafia 2. Give it a shot.
Okay, lock that door. And just give me a minute.
Had a couple, huh? How you feeling?
Vito, about time you showed up. Everybody went home already.
Gee, Joe. I wonder why.
Oh.
Heh. Right.
Now, as you can tell, I've played some great titles this year, and I'm kind of juggling a few titles right now. They're going to be up there with some of the best games I've ever played. Played my first From Software game this year in Bloodborne. First try, bitch. Been having an incredible time with it, kind of jumping in and out with it. I've played like 30 something hours and beaten I think like half of the bosses, so I've got a real feel to it. I'm committed to the game. I will beat it by the end of the year. I don't care if it's 30 frames per second. I don't care that Elden Ring's back. I've wanted to get into Bloodborne for years now and tried multiple times, and now I've got some momentum with it, so I want to keep that going. Incredible. Mwah. Loving the game. I will play Elden Ring next year, though. That'll probably be the first game I play in January 2025. Next up, we have the first Final Fantasy game I've ever played. I'm currently playing this one right now. Final Fantasy VII Remake for PS4. It is wacky, it is weird, it is action-packed. I love it. I knew this series would be right up my alley, and I've wanted to get into it for a while now. There's so many games, it's kind of intimidating to get into. You don't know where to start. People should suggest this and that. This is the one I own. I'm familiar with it, played a little bit of the original as a kid, and I've really been loving my time with Final Fantasy Remake so far. I'm 20-something hours into it. I think I'm in chapter 11 or 12, so about halfway through. And that kind of wraps it up for what I've been playing so far and a lot of the games I've enjoyed the most so far in 2024. Comment down below if you played any of these games, some of the stories you've had with them, and what have you been playing this year? What are some of the best games you've played so far in 2024? I want to hear about it in the comments. Make sure you give this video a like. Really helps me out as a smaller channel. And consider subscribing. You know, I do a lot of great videos like this, and we're going to end the year on a very high note with a lot of great content. So stick around. Hope to see you next time. Stay blessed.